Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me once again in Itoro's Hub. My name is Itoro Jimmy. So good to be with you once again. And once again, we'll be bringing you a very interesting topic. And today our topic is doping in sport, why it is still a big issue. A lot of you will agree with me that with the ongoing Olympics, there have been the issues of doping and bans and all that. And this is not the first time this has been going on. I mean, we could date this back to the likes of the case of, say, Marion Jones, for instance, Lance Armstrong, the cyclist. I mean, the list goes on. One would wonder why we are still talking about doping at this time. I mean, after doping was introduced or probably brought to the front burner in the 1920s in sport, one would think that after 100 years that a whole lot ought to have been achieved. But up until now, we are still having the issues with doping and wondering why athletes are still being caught in this net. And of course, I will be talking about this all by myself. So today, my guest is a medical practitioner, a sport medical practitioner, and his name is Dr. Adebukola Bojuwoye. You're welcome on the show, Dr. Buki. Hello, Dr. Buki. Are you
Good
there?
afternoon. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, good
there. Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon
How
and
are you
welcome.
today?
It's so good to have you today. So, Dr. Buki, without wasting much time, I'd like you to tell us what is doping in sports.
Well, doping in sports is using a substance methods to enhance performance.
Okay, so how
Basically,
long has this? Yes,
if
I
someone uses,
mentioned that it's been on there since the 1920s, right? Is there anything that has been
yeah,
done, coming down the line till this time?
well, they've done a lot of things over the years, which led into the IOC, the World Anti-Doping Agency, which we know now. It has led to some people also having um, things, international federations having their own anti-doping committees. It's led to coalition of countries signing a pact of policy agreeing to that doping is not right, and then at any which way we need to curb it.
So while we're still having the issue of doping, I mean, after 100 years, one would think that this ought to have gone, probably been controlled, but after 100 years, I mean, since dating back to the 1920s when it came, when we started talking about it, in sports, why are we still having issues with athletes, doping in the year 2021?
Well, the first thing is that the reason why they started to go against it is like they say it's everybody should be competing on a level playing field. Nobody should use any substance or methods to improve your performance where someone else is not. Now we have countries who can afford to do that, and some undeveloped countries or third world countries who don't have that same thing to develop that. So you have issues that it's not level. So, but to create a level playing field, everybody should be clean, which led to clean sports. So, with clean sports, everybody now decided to start taking the law, the policies up, and doing the right thing. So, every nation has a national anti-doping agency, which takes care of the doping in your country, while WADA takes care of the whole world, and all the associations, international associations, have their own medical and anti-doping committees too.
So this means
So
every country's anti-doping agency reports to WADA.
yes,
Okay.
yes, they
So
do.
how often are athletes tested to determine if they are fit to compete?
Well, most of all the athletes they are all tested regularly. They are both in competition testing and out of competition test, right? So for us, we have there's not a particular amount that they do, but you have a minimum depending on how top you are or what. If you have a world record, they will definitely test you. If you break any record, they will test you, and then because it is now regular, and they want to find out because they've noticed over the years athletes and companies and countries have gotten better at doping, because you find out that some of them are doping off season so that they can use it in their competition when they start the season. And then some people dope for the competition, so they need to start checking everybody, both out of competition and in competition, off season and in season. That's why everything came up with this issue.
Okay, because that was taking me to my next question, where I wanted to ask: are these athletes actually tested? Are the testing done before the competition? Are they done because the competition is around the corner, or they can actually be tested to see how fit or how clean they are before competitions and afterwards? So, like,
Yes,
how
like I said,
regularly is it done? Is it like 2-3 times in a year? Is it quarterly or thereabout?
they won't tell you, because you're not supposed to know. I'm supposed to even come and test you, in most, especially in out of competition testing. Because if I
Wow.
tell you ahead coming, you can go and clean up and then do your test. So they
Oh, wow.
only let you know when you want to go to competitions. Like in this competition, there'll be testing. So some people would avoid those competitions, right? But for some of us, the actual test is supposed to be done over a period of time. Now, the newest thing is the biological passport. What they're even doing now is to collect samples of blood and be taking regular samples of your blood over time, so that they can be able to chart your body. So that if there's any difference in anything, they would know that there was something that was given here, and they can be able to come back and really do a test on you. But for the other elite athletes and athletes in the testing program pool, they need to be tested regularly, both in competition and out of competition. Sometimes minimum of 3, but maximum of 6 tests a year.
Hello, Doc. Are you there? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, you went up there for a bit. I lost you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
sorry
like I
about that.
said,
Okay, so you
minimum
were
of
saying
3.
something about testing.
Yeah. So you have a minimum of 3 tests that you would do out of competition, and then the number can be endless depending on how your performance is.
Okay. So hello, are
Yeah.
you there? Oh, okay.
I'm
So
here.
in
I'm
a
here.
year, okay. So in a year now, how many times can an athlete be tested? Approximately how many times?
It depends on how many competitions you go to. If you're talking about in competition, if you go to a lot of the Grand Prix, like especially in athletics, you get tested in all those prix. In cycling, any competition you go to, they will let you know. So you can get average, like some can get about 10 to 20 in a year.
Are the testing just for cyclists, runners, or do we test footballers? Do we test basketball players?
We test
So you're
everybody,
saying
even
so you're
even
saying
people with
that
that.
I didn't get that.
Even that.
Oh, okay. Even footballers are
Yeah.
tested. Oh, wow. That's
Footballers,
interesting. Because every
basketballers,
time we talk, because every time
swimmers.
we talk, we hear of doping and all that. We're either talking about, athletes that are, the runners, or probably the cyclists, and all that. I think we hardly talk about, footballers that will probably be on a banned substance. So, guys, if you're just joining us, you're not too late. We're just 9 minutes into the show today. And today we are talking about doping in sport and why it is still a big issue. You'll agree with me that over the years that there's no time or no major competition we don't hear of a doping issue one way or the other. And we have our guest, Dr. Adebukola Bojuwoye, discussing that with us. He's putting us through. And so far, he said to us that doping is actually, using a banned substance in sport, and also is also help us to understand that the testing can be done at any time, and the athletes are usually not informed. Meaning, if they tell you, you might go as well to go ahead and clean your bloodstream so that people are not aware of what is in your system. So he's already taking us through this. So, Dr. Buki, what substances should athletes, look out for when consuming products?
Well, right now, the World Anti-Doping Agency has already been doing certain things for athletes and with education and things. So there's a prohibited list of substances that they should not
Okay.
take that is released for every year. Sometimes they remove some, sometimes they add a bit more. Some are put on review list. So they send it out way before the year. It comes out towards the end of the last quarter of the year. So that in preparation for next year now, the last quarter of the year, they'll release for 2022. So it starts acting from January 2022 or the whole of 2022. So
So
all
how are
the
the athletes
lists
supposed
is
to
out.
identify these substances?
Now, there are other websites, and that's why they need to keep on going to educate themselves. There are sites that WADA has created on WADA showing you how to, if you have this drug that you want to take, you need to check the drug on the list, and then it can tell you the substances inside, and then it can tell you if it has anything prohibited in it. That's you have the WADA site, the educational part of it that you can go to. There's Adele, at least education e-learning sites, and there are other sites you can go to talking about everything, all the list of drugs, and all the ways you can also go astray.
Okay. So now we've had an instance where an athlete was probably found, guilty of doping, right? So in that instance, probably he or she suffered maybe a muscle pull or something, and the team doctor happens to give this athlete some form of medication. And at the end of the day, the athlete was found, guilty of doping, right? So who is to take this blame? Because at the end of the day, the athlete says, oh, I only got painkillers. I wasn't aware that it was a banned substance. So who should take the fall?
Now, for everybody, especially team physicians, whatever, that's why it's always right to write out what you give your athletes. To every doctor who's
Okay.
into sports, who are sports medicine practitioners, they know about the
Okay.
prohibited list. So they know what to give and not what not to give. So if you write it down that this is what you're giving, and the athlete now goes and gets tested for a substance, if it's a substance, it's the same with what you have given, then both of you, because the athlete is also supposed to do a double check, because in doping, whatever goes inside you is your responsibility in any form.
Okay. So are you saying
So the
now
blame
that
goes
the
to
athlete?
all of them.
Hello.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay. So are you
Can you
saying
hear
now
me?
that the athlete should also be held responsible for consuming the medication that was given to him by the team physician?
Everything you put in your system is your responsibility. That's
Oh
the
my
rule.
goodness.
It's what we all signed for. So you have, even if you are going to your doctor, the moment you get to any doctor, first thing you tell them, I'm an athlete. There are things that we're not supposed to take. So even if it's normal, any normal doctor, you will tell them. So they like, go to the prohibited list and check, is these substances you want to give me are there. So I won't be able to take them. There's no going around the bush about it. Your responsibility is your responsibility to remain on top of your game.
Oh wow. So indirectly or directly, you're saying that both the doctor or the team physician and the athlete should go ahead to read the list released by WADA so that they are able to identify what to consume and what not to consume. Now we
Yes.
know over in this part we are made to understand. Oh, okay, lots of veg. You eat lots of vegetables. You take lots of natural drinks and all that. Say, for instance, Zobo, right? So it's mixed from natural extracts and all that. And you take this, you take these drinks, you eat this food, and at the end of the day, they realize that there's some substance that is in your system. It's not that you're taking some banned drugs and all that, but this they found this in your system and it's related to food. Now, in that case, what can the athletes actually be, guilty, and can they actually be punished?
Well, for those kind of people, there are special cases. Everything does not a fact and law. That's why when you test positive, they'll call you for for an inquiry with a panel where they will ask you how did this come by, what is it. The ones that agree that they actually took something, the ones that say, I've only drank Zobo, that's the only new thing I'm taking and all. What is Zobo? It might be something the WADA would research on to look at it and find out if there's anything in it that could lead you towards that. There are countries in the world that the coca leaf is being eaten. Cocaine, the leaf, like the use of the plant for cocaine. So we know those kind of things, and there are certain things that already they've done researching, and they've been able to tell us,
Okay.
okay, those don't do this. Those. Ginseng at a certain time was a big problem when it first came out in the 1990 and 2000, because a lot of the Chinese athletes had issues with dope in 2000 Sydney because of ginseng. But later they found out that ginseng wasn't an issue, and then everybody's back can take it now.
How long ago before they actually backed off?
Before the next Olympics, they had backed off. You see, the thing is that
Oh,
everybody gets more intelligent, and that's the thing. If you tell me, in Nigeria we do a lot of agbos and things, and a lot of people drink it.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm,
can you tell me what exactly is inside? Because we know some people would add certain things to it, right? And that those certain things they add to it may not be known. And that's where your problem is, because you don't know what is inside it. Stay away from
mm-hmm.
it.
Okay. So
Unless you make it yourself.
even when you make it yourself, this natural herbs contains things that we probably don't know can be used against us. I mean, as a person. So now, Erena Koiki says, then how can doping be controlled in sports? Good job, Itoro. Nice one. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dorcas. Thank you so much. So, can you see the question? How can doping be controlled in
Yes, I can.
sports? Yeah.
We're trying as much as possible to control doping. And that's why the rules come from WADA to different organizations. They're creating different places. But the same way, people are getting intelligent. There was a time we had the Balco lab thing. Athletes had used designer drugs for a long time before we realized it. We have the investigative panel, we have the whistleblowers, and we have everybody, different things they're using to entice people to come and talk to us so we can know. When they find out, they get things to be able to test those things with. And that's why
Mhm.
they did retrospective testing on samples before Marion Jones could be caught. Because when they found out the designer drugs came, they went on and found it what to use to test them. So they went back to their sample Bs and did some tests all along the road. So some athletes were tested retrospectively, so that they now found that they had been using these drugs even from the 2000 Olympics.
Is it not, should I say, is it not just not fair on the athletes? Because at the end of the day, they probably were using these things not knowing that they were banned. Or did they know that they were banned
That's what
substance?
now look, the Balco lab was a lab that they will tell you, you become a world champion, you become Olympic champion, you become all these things over the years. So, but what's happened is that you go in and submit yourself because they were thinking that they were under the radar, they couldn't be caught. The first thing you need to know is that all athletes, the most athletes that do this thing know, and they're trying to go off radar. So you cannot be lenient on some of them, because now you can imagine the amount of money so many of the athletes make, and you win $1 million Grand Prix, 3 days, endorsements, and all that. So you're cheating everybody by lying to me that I became a world champion by my might alone, not by any other might.
Okay.
Because the question you
Hello?
ask everybody is like, okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
The question you would ask if you say you allow everybody to use substance, then who do you give the gold medal to? Is it the substance or the person? Because right now everybody will now start using everything, and you now know what concussion did you use. That's what made you better or made you win. So you gotta add the gold medal to the substance, not the person.
Yeah. Okay. So, Koiki is asking another question. She said, "You made mention of athletes taking responsibility of the kind of drugs they are given by physicians, but how do the players know that some certain drugs given or administered to them may contain this banned substance?" Very, very good question there. How do they get to know? How would they know?
That, like I said, there's a list for that everybody uses. So if your physician is giving you something, you can go back to your list and check for the drug or get a second opinion. You have websites, you have places you can go to check every drug that is given to you. They have this
Okay.
all over their website on WADA. You can find out all this information. That's why it's there. It's free to go inside, check the link, and you can get in.
Okay, so now let me ask, do we conduct doping tests here in Nigeria?
We
Is it
don't, okay,
free
we have
or does it come at a cost?
now tests are done with the accredited labs. WADA
Okay,
accredited labs all over the country, all over the world. So we don't have a lab yet. We had proposed to get one,
okay,
but it's not yet on ground. But we do the sampling, we collect samples here and courier it to the lab. That's what we do.
Now, you said something, we don't have a lab here. We only take samples and then we courier it to the lab. Now, is there a possibility that during this, movement that there probably is a decrease or some form of increase in whatever specimen you're sending through? Can't it be altered along the way? Can't it be altered?
The process, the test process, the sampling collection process, it's a very foolproof thing. They have bottles that you seal. You cannot open it unless
Okay.
you get a special opener, which is only at the lab. The moment you lock your sample, it's you cannot open it until it gets to the lab. And secondly, nobody touches anything during the test. Your sampling collection, you actually go and pee. They view you pee into the cup. You now split the volume inside the bottles, sample A, sample B. You close it, we package it, and we courier it. Well, they have packages that are beautiful, that well secure packages that we use to ship it out.
Okay.
So nobody can get to it.
Dr. is asking another question. I think probably does a follow up to the question I asked. She said, "How often do we conduct this test in Nigeria?" Yes, you just mentioned that the test we don't have a lab here that we send it across. So how often do we send this across? Let me rephrase her question. Since we don't have a lab here, how often do we
We send that
conduct this test?
the test, like I said earlier, from the first time, is that they are in competition testing. And if we have 10 competitions in Nigeria that we're going to do
Okay.
dope tests, that you're going to test the person 10 times. And then
Okay.
you have out of competition test, and it's with regulations. Like I said, minimum can be 3 and it can be more than that. If the International Federation of WADA or the testing agency gets in touch with us, our own anti-doping agency, and says this person needs to test more from the samples they're seeing and the record from the test they're doing, they may need to get more. They'll get them to do more. So, but like I said, inside competition, if you go to 20, you get and you win all the time, you get tested. You might even you don't win, you can be tested. Out of competition, if you're in the testing pool, they test you according to the out of competition and in competition thing.
Okay. So now with this in and out of competition testing, and from what you just explained right now, so will we say that this test, in Nigeria, is it done for just A-list athletes or is done across board?
Now, what for? We have the regular testing pool, and then
Mm-hmm.
in our own competitions in Nigeria, the National Sports Festival, some other classics and things we do, they get tested there. But we have a large number of athletes that we put in the pool. So if you cross your up to a certain level and you come or you come to compete in that level, you get tested. There are elite athletes who are tested most times. If you are not on that testing pool, they may not test you out of competition. But if you get into a competition and you get to compete, they will test you. Youth
Okay.
games, certain competitions, they test.
Okay. You said something about, athletes being under radar. At what point do we have, are these athletes under radar? Is it only when they set a world record, when they are making it really big out there? At what point are athletes
No,
actually under the radar?
what I meant when I said when they're under the radar is that they're doing things that they don't want people to know. So
Oh,
whatever
okay.
samples they're taking substances, new methods of taking substances, and there are ways that they are going to be doing it, and that's the thing. So they are going to go under the radar because they know the kind of testing machines they have in those labs, and they're trying to go under that. Like they can't be they can't get positive because we don't know the substance yet.
Okay. So I want to ask Dr. Buki, is there a training, is there some form of training program that probably has been put out there? Because we know that from let's say from our discussion so far, I can deduce that this testing are only done for athletes who are participating at a higher level, like we say the A-list level, right? So are there any training program to carry out testing, to probably educate athletes about doping and the penalties involved at the grassroots level?
Yes, in our country we do it, and that's why some of us who are doctors who are this we educate our own athletes, which is something we should do. We have our agency that comes to competitions, even if they're not testing, they bring flyers, they show you where to go to on sites, read, even different sites. Have like the Adele I was telling you about, the e-learning site for doping. They have parents guides, they have coaches guide, they have the athletes guide. So you can actually go on those sites and get certifications, read, and know those things. And also apart from that, we have systems of like where we do regular seminars, Zoom meetings, and we talk to people. We increase the knowledge. In the NOC, we have our seminars that we do with every medical person in all the states. And then we meet with the administrators, we meet with coaches, we meet with the athletes themselves, both the grassroots, and educate them on all these things. But most of our own athletes may not pay attention to it. Some of them, in like instances, you tell somebody, go and check the WADA website. I don't have data. Whose fault is that going to be?
Hmm. Hmm. That is quite interesting because I wanted to say, how do you go about, this training? It's one thing to put the program in place, is another thing to get, the athletes to actually understand what this thing is all about. So when they come out saying we don't have data and the like, so what's the next step?
Number one, you are the athlete that, first of all, when you win a gold medal, it's not the country they will call first. They'll call your name and then say your country. It's,
So you shouldn't. So at the end of the day, you shouldn't force anybody to do what they want to do. Sorry about that. So we have our next question from Koki. Koki is very, very, very available today. I really appreciate her joining us. So her next question says, "I'm glad you made mention of the out of competition testing. Team Nigeria athletes that were Team Nigeria athletes that were disqualified from the Olympic Games. Who was responsible for these tests for the athletes?"
now, regularly, we have the registered testing pool athletes who are
Yeah.
there. and every registered testing pool athlete is supposed to fill a whereabout form. They have a mnemonic for it under WADA called the Adams. It's actually an app. The app is supposed to take every athlete is supposed to fill the form from January 1st to December 31st of every year. Your 24 hours on every day, you tell them exactly where you will be. And you're supposed to also put a place, a 1 hour group where you say, this is where for my 1 hour possible testing time, that 1 hour, this is where I will be, and that's where I want it to be done. So you send that message out to the central system, and that's what some people sit down and start plotting when they will come and test someone. Now,
Mm.
some of our athletes, I'm not saying all of us, don't even feel their whereabouts home, and that's why some people who didn't do their whereabouts home were banned from even competing at all. If, there are offenses you can do with your whereabouts form that will ban you, like you are positive to substances. So
Okay.
every athlete, it's your responsibility to feel your whereabouts as long as you're an A-list athlete. So if you say I forgot or something or you didn't feel it, then am I going to help you feel it? It's not going to be possible. But what they do is the agency, your country agency will get in touch with you, fill your form. And that form is not for the agency alone, it's for the whole world to see. So some of these athletes may not be in the country. So if you didn't put addresses where you are, your federation, your international federation has agencies that test for them. They will send people to your address wherever you're going to be because you have your information. If they don't have your information, then where would they find you for the out of
So
competition test?
invariably, yeah, so invariably, what you're saying is they not being tested was solely their responsibility because they failed to submit the necessary information about their whereabouts.
That's what I'm telling you. Because if your whereabouts is clear, then they will find you.
Okay. So you also
Because
made
it's not
mention
really your
of,
agent.
yeah, you also made mention of a situation. You actually said we don't have a testing lab here, so we can actually send samples. Was it not possible for them to send samples ahead, for them to be tested? Was that not an option at all?
Testing responsibility belongs to your agency, your country, the world as the doping agency. They would send people to. You are not going to know who they are going to send. It can be even we have seen people come from out of the country, other countries, to come and test our athletes in Nigeria. And some of us some of people who are doping control officers in Nigeria go out of here to go and test people outside Nigeria. So it's not, there are things that your agency will tell you, your national federation will also tell you. So these are the things that you do. If they, like, let's just take everybody, athletics now. Any competition that is held in this country and then most of our foreign base come in, they will be tested in competition. But some of them are not in Nigeria. So there's no way you would take a doping control officer from Nigeria to go and test them there. All you leave it to, because they are competing and they're doing everything, that is left for the International Federation to deal with. But if they are coming into my own area, it's left for the National Anti-Doping Agency to deal with that.
Wow, that's quite insightful. So invariably, we don't have to blame any agency over here for their own failure, as this is solely the responsibility of the athlete. Is that what you're saying?
Because correction now, what I'm saying is that there's the athlete integrity unit, which is another site that
Okay.
athletes should go into and learn a lot of things. There are certain things, the rules and regulation they've said, and things you need to deal with. So for you, when you have those information and you have seen that there's nothing going on, you can call your federation that I haven't seen anybody. These are the things that is. Because I'm not saying that all of them didn't fill their whereabout forms because they can't stick to us. But some of them may have made mistakes, not well filled, other things. Those are the things that will do. But the first thing is, did you feel it? How well did you feel it? Okay, I feel it well, and they didn't still come to test me. Then we'll now look at their federations and say, okay, why didn't you? Because if you had this information, why was she not tested? So there are
Okay,
steps to
because they were
take
really
along.
controversial. Yeah, because there were actually issues of movements and the likes, where most athletes could not travel, so they couldn't fill in. Yeah, they couldn't come here to submit their samples. They couldn't do a whole lot of things.
It's not
There were issues
it's
of
not
them,
their
some of them
responsibility.
in school and all that. So how do we?
It's not their responsibility to send in their samples.
Okay,
It's not any of their business. All their business is tell me where you will be. Collection of samples is solely dependent on the World Anti-Doping Agency, your national agency, and your federation. It's not on
okay.
you. So if you feel properly, they will know where to find you if they need to move. Yes, there were travel ban during COVID, but the moment the travel ban left, some people started going out and getting tested.
So if at all they were probably in Maldives and they actually stated that they were somewhere in the Maldives and they feel that in, that means whether or the association would have sent a representative or somebody to go get the sample and then submit it for testing. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay. That's really, really expository. Okay, so now I want to ask you said something earlier about whether releasing list of food or substances that can be taken and all that, you know. Does this include food and drinks as well? Not just the medication. Does this include food
For
and
every
drinks?
well, for food, yes, we cannot say food and drinks, but the substances that you should not take. Now we have some people. It's like there are some fruits and some drinks that you know that the moment I take it, I'm calmer. So if I'm playing darts, I can throw better. My hand is not shaking, and all those things. Those are the
Okay.
things, and we all know those things. So we're not talking about. We can't tell you the food, but we'll tell you the substance. Now it is you that have to be careful about food and things that you want to take. That you have to go and find out what it contains.
Okay. So are there any plans on Nigeria having a lab anytime soon?
Well, Nigeria is planning on getting a lab, and we're hoping that we get accredited because we can build one, but the IOC have to accredit your lab.
So when they give that approval to build a lab, are they going to send their representatives, or we are going to have our own people run the lab? Are we going to have our
When you
own
have a lab,
doctors?
when you have a
Okay,
lab, is independent of government or association. So it's not anybody. It's not going to involve anybody. It's going to stand on its own. That's it. Because you're not only testing Nigerian athletes alone, even countries that don't have their lab will send samples to you. So you have to be independent of everybody, autonomous of any.
okay. Does that mean they will generate some form of funds by doing this?
Yeah, like when we send samples abroad, it costs a certain amount in dollars when you want to test it. And then if somebody asks for sample B testing, you pay for it too. So you can generate revenue from it too.
Okay. So what sort of food, say for instance, now a young person, you get to meet a young athlete, what sort of food or what sort of advice would you give, encourage that person to be on? Because um, as much as we don't want to talk about certain kind or make mention of certain kind of drugs, because we know we have them in plant form, these young persons are also exposed to this thing at a very early stage. Knowingly or unknowingly, they might be using it as enhancers. You understand? So what kind of, advice would you, give to such a young person?
Advice, whatever you want to take, please confirm what you're taking. And if you're drinking herbs or anything that you don't know what it is, stay away from it until you confirm that it doesn't have anything that will put you into trouble. Simple English. Everybody, the list of your multivitamin, check what it is, what it contains. Even as small as multivitamin tablets, you see a very small print at the bottom. Some FDA have not confirmed the contents of this thing. Stay away. It's simple. What those things don't. It's not anything you need to play around with, because until proven otherwise, you don't know what is inside. So if I now look, let me tell you a scenario. You're a top athlete. You're living with other athletes in the house, and other friends or another people who are not
Yeah.
general people. You leave it, you buy a carton of juice, and then you open it and leave it in your fridge. What if a friend comes in and just goes in and maybe he takes a bit of other substances and he's not an athlete and he puts a bit in it to drink with it, and you come back one day and you just open the drink and you pop it up. So you know that everything, every drink, water or anything you're going to drink should be freshly opened by you, not by anybody.
But
That's
we know
life.
that that is we know that
That's,
that's mostly
that's
not
life
the
you're
case
trying to.
over here.
What?
We know that mostly that's not the case over here. Sometimes you might just share things, and
You
who's, I
don't
mean,
share. You can't share. You can't even take water from another athlete. Do you know what he has put inside?
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is actually harder than we
You
thought.
don't know. Look,
It's actually harder than we thought because we thought, okay,
you signed up for
it's
a
probably
job.
okay. Go ahead.
You signed up for a job, and all the rules and regulations of the job you must follow. You are professional athletes. You earn money from this thing. There are rules and regulations you must follow. It's just like a doctor saying that he doesn't have a practicing license for the year. Anybody in medical or who needs a license yearly saying I didn't do it, then you don't have a right to practice at all. These are the requirements you need to be able to be a top athlete. Those requirements are important and you keep to them.
Wow. This is really, really insightful. So, guys, if you're just joining us, we're just 42 minutes into the discussion, and our guest today is Dr. Adebukola Bojuwoye, and he's a sport medical practitioner. He's been, giving us insights, telling us what drugs, what food, what drinks athletes shouldn't take. And so far, he's also made us understand that you don't have any other person to blame but yourself if you are caught, if you're found guilty and with any banned substance at all. And he's also advised that all the time that the doctors and both doctors and athletes should look at the WADA's website to be able to update themselves on what they should not take, as the list is sometimes, worked on. Like sometimes they reduce what's on the list, and sometimes they add things there for you to know. So, Dr. Bukola, tell us, um, should I say, how do I put this? How has this practice been for you so far? I mean, coupled with the fact that we don't have a lab here, what challenges have you faced? I mean, encountering athletes and all that in your line of duty.
Basically, what we need to do, challenges you have is that you have a lot of athletes who don't even know how to use the app or don't know how to use the internet. One. Secondly, you have
Actually,
athletes you teach some of them. That's the truth, because some of them only know how to WhatsApp, social media, but when you give them to fill up an app with so much details, they may not be able to do it. We tell them, we train some of them, we educate them on how to do some of these things, and we still talk to them daily. We make sure we keep on talking. For the ones who hear, they're there. For the ones who don't hear, there's results at the end of the day. Both ways, you can win now and go and suffer later. It's just a few minutes or a few years of glory. But what's the embarrassment to yourself? It's still your name. Then your country comes in. So it's an embarrassment down the line. So we need to be on top of our game. It's like when you say you're found wanting on the job you're being paid for.
Yeah.
When you don't compete for Nigeria, you compete for yourself. You go to Grand Prix.
Yeah.
You're making money for yourself. It is your job. That's why you're called a professional. So what I tell people is that as much as possible to go to that level, you need to keep refresher courses, keep reading, keep look the new things they're doing. What am I doing that is wrong? Where am I get feedbacks from people, and you keep on getting better. But the problem is that some people just want to cheat, and the way you are getting feedback that you're getting to improve, some people are doing more new things to get across cheating. So what that too is getting to improve themselves. They may be late in getting to know, but the day they know, they'll come back to you and still refer back to that time.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask, how are we prepping? I mean, how do we tend to control this, issue of doping in our own society? How do we get to control it? How can we, put,
Well, the
nip it in the bud, like they say? How do we tend to? Because everything starts from the grassroots, whether we like it or not. And I know you mentioned earlier that sometimes you tell them, or you make mention of, reading and all that, and so they'll tell you they don't have data and all that. So how do we intend to carry them along? How do we intend to educate them to understand that this thing is not good, and in the long run it will cause damage, not just to you, but bringing a bad reputation to the country as a whole?
Yeah, this all these causes problems. It's a good thing because we still have level education. UNESCO is also involved with WADA on educating
Okay.
children. Most times you don't even talk about substances with the younger age. You talk about their morals. Don't take something from somebody. Don't do this. Don't do that. We'll process them stage step by step till they get to the way you can actually tell them the thing. It's level. It's been everybody's thought about it. We're getting to educate people. We get to reach out to people. Even you can do personal education when the athlete is in front of you, or you do group education when you work on that state federations or a team doctor. You educate everybody. Look, it's just like when I say to people that we have this all these teas. There's some that they get, made in the north that is in small cups. We have all
Hmm.
those things. You need to know that what it does it contain. Is it good for me? Because you need to be serious about these things. We have institutes of sports that take in athletes, give them controlled meals, show them the controlled way of doing it, and that's why you see sports is no more about talent; it's about the science. Now everybody's using science, proper feeding, sleeping at the right time, what what you do after you finish training. It's programmed. That's why you have programmed athletes. They come out, they're well, their institute has set them apart. You have athletes that are going to compete in 2024 who came to these Olympics not to win, but just to participate. But their plan is that it's 2024, that's when I want to win. And they've been training for another 4 years before that. So some people may not get to be winners until 8 years, and they know that that's their plan, long-term plan. But most times we have this short-term rush to do get it because even for women and guys when they want to lose weight, they're always in a hurry. I need to lose in 1 month. I need to lose 5 kg. Well, you have a set program. You lose 5, 10 kg in 6 months to a year.
Okay.
It becomes a way of life.
All right. So we have a question from Koki, and she says, one last question from me. Letsino Kagbari was suspended by the Athletics Integrity Unit at the Olympics for testing positive to human growth hormone. But what exactly is this human growth hormone, and does it enhance the performance of an athlete? Thank you.
The human growth hormone, we produce it ourselves. It's what makes us grow from a child to adults would for every part of your body. Now people are making synthetic ones, which is supposed to help you heighten certain areas of your body to react to
Okay.
do better in than normal. So it's like taking, if you're supposed to have like 10 milligrams in your body and you now take another 10 to join it, you're hoping to get it to do 2 times better than that's just it.
Okay. You say it's supposed to take like how many milligrams? I didn't get that.
I'm not. I'm just saying an example. If you are supposed to take
Okay.
if you are supposed to have about 10 milligrams in your body, which is supposed to satisfy your needs of your body, then you add another 10 or add 20 to it. That means you want your body to do more than what you need to do at a certain point in time.
Okay.
So
Variably.
every
Oh
urine
yeah.
sample, there are
Okay.
certain things in your urine sample that tells you that this hormone at this normal level, this is supposed to be,
Okay.
you have not heightened yourself, you're not. Now, how do they know that you have heightened yourself? Is when it's not within the normal range. That means you have added some to it.
Okay. Okay. So it means that it can also be tagged um, an enhancing substance.
It's in the lists. It's in the
Oh
prohibited
my goodness.
list. All these are in the prohibited list. They can't tell you that she's positive and suspend her when it's not in the list. If it's not in the list, she has no right to be stopped from competing.
So even what, oh my goodness. So this is that's why I said this is quite expository. I mean, so it's not just food and drinks. It also involves in cosmetics as well, because I know most of this cosmetic stuff you can actually inject them. You know, you can actually take them as a pill and all that. And oh, doc, this is quite expository, really. So this is, if I would say, human growth. It's some form of like a cosmetics from your explanation, right? And some of they are made in some. We are supposed to develop it internally, but now it is now made in synthetic form where people now consume it. Oh wow.
Yes.
Oh wow. That's quite interesting. So the human growth hormone is actually, Koiki, if you're listening, the human growth hormone is actually an enhanced performance. So the enhanced performance for athletes, they are not supposed to take it, and that was why Blessing Okamberry was suspended, because it is one of the things that were listed, by WADA, that should have been avoided by all athletes. And unfortunately, Blessing was caught with it, and they found it in her system, and that is why she was suspended. Thank you so much, Wakey, for that question. Very, 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 very beautiful question. So, Doc, where were we? So I wanted to say, what is your high point in this job as a sport medical doctor? What are the high points in it? Because you're not just a normal doctor who will just knock on your door and walk into your office anytime. So as a sports doctor, what's the high points? What do you do different from other doctors?
We don't do every other thing differently, but we're the only doctors that act in front of people. Millions of people watch you when you do
You
your
say you are the
job
only
because
doctors that do what? I didn't get that.
if
Please come again.
we're the only doctors that do our work in front of everybody. We can't go into
Okay.
to the side to inside the clinic and do something. But when someone drops on the field, you get there, try and do certain things, and everybody's watching. If you have 5 million viewers, so whenever if you are making mistakes, they are all seeing it. If you are doing the right
Mm.
thing, everybody's seeing it. So you have to be sure of the kind of job you do. Sure of yourself when you want to go out and do the right thing. My biggest joy is when you see work with people and they get to win clean sports. It's like you all because you know what they've gone through, their pain, their gains, and everything. So when your athlete that you're working with wins, you win.
Have you ever had to help an athlete overcome any form of addiction or overcoming the use of any enhancing drugs and all that? Have you ever had to experience that with any athlete at all?
No, no, not yet.
When you say not yet, it makes it look like you're looking forward to it and being able to be able to
When
help
I,
out.
if it comes my way, I will help out. That's what I mean. But I haven't come across anybody, because most of the athletes is that when they test you positive and you have done time, you still, some of them come back. Even when you get positive and you go in your 4 year ban, 2 year ban, when you're going to come back, you're going to do a fresh test confirming you are clean before you can even compete. So, but when we
Oh.
discuss with them during that period, we now educate them. That's all there's a result management part of WADA where they tell you, they educate you. That's why even the WADA seminar, there's certain, they invite athletes who have tested before, positive before, to come and tell them their own story and see the point of view and see, trying to put them back in their role model life.
Hmm. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Adebukola Bojuwoye. Thank you so much for being my guest today. And guys, if you're just joining in, we're about wrapping up the show. But before we go, I would like Dr. Buki to give a shout out to people out there, give a word of advice, and then say shout out to, maybe family, friends.
Well, I would like to say to everybody, both recreational athletes, elite athletes, upcoming athletes, clean sports. Nothing makes it better. Substances or methods we use have their own side effects.
Hmm.
But if you go and read some of the side effects, go back to the history of some of these people who are tested positive, some of them have issues, and the side effects can also be death. So we need to be careful of what we put in our systems to, if we want to get anything done in life. And my greetings to everybody who try, love, and eat sports. Let's win, but clean sports.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bukola Bojuwoye. So, guys, thank you for joining in. Thank you so much, Erinayo Koiki. I really, really do appreciate. Thank you so much for your love. Thank you for tuning in always. I really, really appreciate you being part of this. And for those of you who couldn't join us live, don't forget that the recorded version will still be available on our page. You can still watch. Oh, sorry about that. We went off for a bit. So I'll say this again. So for those of you that are just joining us, sorry that you're coming in late. We're about wrapping up now. So don't forget the recorded version is on the page, and you can always watch and drop your comments, your questions. And Dr. Bodue, you always respond as he's on the page. He will respond to any of your questions and contributions. I like, thank you so, so much for being part of this broadcast, and until I come your way next time. Bye for now. Dr. Boju, thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye for now.
Bye.